So I might actually have one of the coolest things ever to build a VFO with. I don't know why they called it a VCO, but these are leftover parts from Fire Stick and Phoenix. So a guy named Sam that I know, I don't know exactly what he does. He works for like radio stations, TV stations, some kind of thing. He always ends up with like stuff from radio related places. And he had these along with a bunch of other really weird science experiments from Fire Stick. These were never used. So PAL Electronics, some of their stuff will say California. Some of it will say Phoenix. This is Westminster. This was a meter that, and these guys did all this stuff. They really did weird stuff. I don't even know what the hell, like, so this is all from the 70s, basically. They did a bunch of prototyping and stuff, and they used, like, extra leftover meters. This was one of their regular meters inside of a watt meter case. And I actually have one of their watt meters. I think I had two of them. And they're okay, but they only go to 1,000 watts. So, and they're basically really only made for 11 meters. I don't know what circuit they got going here. It's actually not even ever been connected. If you look, you can see there's never been anything to the other side of the meter. There's some tape on the back that says meter is R equals 46 ohms. I don't know what that means. So they have a bank of capacitors that have never been soldered up, and they basically wrapped wire around them to do some weird shit. They got another bank over here. So anyway, I have the legs for this one. Here's another one, and they painted this one. They had wires coming out the front. It was switch, and they have a dummy load in here that they made, and they have a transformer, and there's a meter shunt right here. That's actually a meter shunt, believe it or not. It's mounted on a block of wood. And you've got like a relay and some other junk, and like a rectifier board here. And so Sam just basically told me to take all this junk, a lot of it. But anyway, it's got a fuse that's not actually even hooked up right. I forget what. Look, see that? They just soldered to one part of the fuse. They didn't use the other part. There's some weird stuff. So, I might even have some more stuff. And then I had little bins of like little small parts that they had stockpiled. A lot of them were like funny little Formica washers and stuff that you'd use maybe for transistors. But I had a box, an actual box that had like a bunch of these, and I regretfully threw out a bunch of them and kept these two. So yeah, these have just never been used. You painted them with this funky brown paint. I always wondered, how do you get that texture? What did they do to do that? Because it would be nice to be able to figure out how to duplicate different paint textures for restoring like vintage equipment. Anyway, so the PAL VCO tuning monitor was designed for this radio. This radio is actually on the list. But for some reason, they didn't inject it into channel 1. I don't know exactly what they were doing. I think they wanted you to have channel 1 through 12, and then you would put this thing on channel 13 or something, and then this would tune all the other channels above that. So to give you the maximum amount of like channels, it would go up to like, it said 27505, I think, on their website. But this would go really nicely with our project. I mean, you really couldn't do much better than this to start with. You know, on and off switch, we have a spot to put our encoder, we have a spot to put our display. I could 3D print something to go on here as a bezel, maybe. You could even, I could even cut out a piece of aluminum, put it behind it, and, you know, it'll sit in there and then center up the display. There's a bunch of different ways I could do it. And I've even got a TIG welder if I really wanted to. I could TIG weld a piece of aluminum in here. However, it will destroy the paint finish, guaranteed. So, there is, for some reason, no holes for legs. I don't know how they had this thing set up, but I'm just not sure why it looks like that. Because look at these other things. I'm like, no. They got these here. This, you can see they never installed the legs on this one. So yeah, they just took these things and just did weird stuff with them. But this is like super usable. I'd been saving it for like some other kind of project. I didn't actually think I was going to make a modern version of what it was doing. But I'm going to put something in here and it will look halfway decent next to the Cobra, because I don't want to put anything in the dial here. But what's going to be complicated is I am not going to be able to figure this out right away. I can make a VFO that will display the actual frequency, but to get one that outputs the frequency I need and displays the correct channel is something that I have no idea how to do. And even after playing with the Circuit Secrets software and kind of guessing as to how it works, I still don't know what I would end up having to do to get even that software to function properly to give me the correct channel. I mean, because I don't need like VFO mode, really, so to speak. I've got plenty of ham radio gear if I want to operate, you know, other things. I want to make a 23 channel CB work 1 through 40. And I don't even care about transmitting, so, but when this radio, I don't think that's an issue. But I just want to be able to have another unit here that I can hook to this thing through a little like RG174 coax cable, and just be able to tune through some channels. So anyway, I ordered some perf boards, and what else did I order? A 3-pack of nanos for $9. So yeah, I ordered some that didn't have the pins already soldered on them, but that was just the only way I could find them. I'd rather have them soldered, actually. So one thing I do not want to be doing is I do not want to be soldering to this board. because it's delicate. So, in fact, well, the way I would prefer to do it is have a board that has a socket that fits that. But I don't know where you would easily get one of those. I did see some on Amazon where they were using sockets, but now there's a couple of displays that might fit in here too, but that would mean probably having to change a lot of the code, and I don't know, without ordering several different ones, and it could get expensive after a while of like trying different ones, because I think there's like 4 or 5 ones that might fit. And there's one I could think of that might be too long, but like I said, if you put a bezel around it, you won't have a gap. But I'd probably go with like a 1.2, 1.3 display, because I think that one just works, but maybe I'm wrong. So I think you just get the thing in the library for that, and it should be good. I don't know what else you have to change. So, but yeah, I think this would be kind of fun to use this.